Chapter 49. In this chapter, we come to the end of Jacob's story as he issues his final words to his sons and then breathes his last. This chapter begins with Jacob calling his sons together and saying to them, "Gather round that I may tell you what will happen in the days to come." And then in Frank Costanza fashion, if you get that reference, he proceeds to hold nothing back, and it's kind of an airing of grievances, telling his sons what he really thinks of them. To some, he proclaims favor and blessing, and to others, he pronounces what amount to be curses based on what they have shown themselves to be in their lives thus far. And each of the sons gave rise to the 12 tribes of Israel, of course, and scholars guess that these pronouncements are based on what became of those tribes in the years to come and what was happening in Israel at the time this story was written down. But as I read the chapter and these pronouncements, I began to wonder how much of our future is determined by our past. As he gave these pronouncements, he looked at things that had happened. To Reuben, who slept with one of his father's wives, Jacob says, "You are as unstable as water. You will no longer excel." To Simeon and Levi, who slaughtered a village to avenge their sister's honor, he says, "Weapons of violence are their swords, and I will divide them in Jacob, and I will scatter them in Israel." But then to Joseph, who has endured so much, but who has always kept the faith and risen above his situations, Jacob says, "Joseph is as fruitful as a fruitful bough by a spring. The blessings of your father are stronger than the eternal mountains. The bounties of everlasting hills be on the head of Joseph." So Jacob seems to be saying to his sons that what you have done in life has revealed your character, and your character will determine what becomes of you. But one pronouncement is different. He says to Judah, about Judah, he says, "The scepter will not depart from him, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet. And to him, he says, your father's sons shall bow down to you." So there's this kingly element to Judah's pronouncement. And it might be a reference to the prevalence and the strength of the kingdom of Judah in years to come, or that it was from the line of Judah that King David and King Solomon came. But these words also foreshadow the coming of the Messiah, the Christ, who was of the line of Judah, the one from whom the scepter would not depart, or as we say in the Nicene Creed, the one whose kingdom shall have no end. Now, like Jacob pronounces to his sons, our character and our actions certainly have an impact on what goes on in our lives and how we experience our lives, but they do not have the final word. Instead, one event in the past has everything to do with our future. That Jesus Christ came, lived, died, and rose again. That gives us hope that no matter what blessings or curses we have endured or even brought on ourselves, we know that Christ is the one who decides our future. And that future has been decided. It's a future of promise, a future of love, of new life, and it's a future of hope. So thanks be to God.